Hello, welcome to this General Assembly live stream about the banking industry and the technology that influences it. I'm John Chang from General Assembly, and with us we have the co-founder and head of financial education of Bank Mobile. So today we're going to cover the state of the industry, the technology that influences it, and your amazing upcoming book that really covers this all. So before we get into this, would you mind giving a quick introduction?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having us. We're really excited to be here. My name is Luvleen Sidhu, co-founder of Bank Mobile. My background is really, I'm Harvard '08, graduated as pre-med, somehow came into finance, and actually my first day on the job was the Lehman bankruptcy. So definitely an interesting start to my career. Did some consulting in between and then had an epiphany that entrepreneurial ventures is really where my heart is, and there was a huge opportunity in the fintech space, so that's where I am today.
Great.
Nice. And I am Ash Exantus, better known as Ash Cash. I am a 15-year banking professional, so I've been in banking for 15 years. Did everything in banking from private banker, branch manager, sort of kind of got tired of the banking industry and decided to teach, become a financial educator. So I'm the author of two best-selling books, Mind Right, Money Right, 10 Laws of Financial Freedom, and What the FICO, 12 Steps to Repairing Your Credit. And then I stumbled across this wonderful new opportunity to lead the charge in educating millennials, educating unbanked, underbanked individuals with Bank Mobile. And so after I said I would never work in a bank ever again after 15 years of doing it, I'm back and I'm excited about what we're doing to change the generation.
Great. So there's this term, I would like to talk about the industry and introduce it by talking about this term that we've all heard. It's in the media, and it's big banks. You also talk about this yourselves. So in your in your perspective, what is a big bank?
These big banks are really the ones that have the huge, cumbersome branch networks. And these are the most inefficient branch networks. So these big banks are opening one net new checking account per month. So these are very inefficient branches, and the consumer is actually subsidizing inefficient branches by paying overdraft fees, and that's how this branch network is actually surviving. So I'd say the definition of a big bank is definitely those four banks, and definitely the Americans that are paying $32 billion a year and subsidizing those branches.
So what are the problems that come out of that? Because the monetary issue, that's a huge number. I myself feel uncomfortable with it. How else is that affecting consumers?
I mean, one of the things, Luvleen just mentioned $32 billion in fees, but when you look at how the big banks are getting these fees, it's actually from 8% of their customers, right? And who are those 8% of those customers? Those are 18 to 34-year-olds, millennials. So they're subsidizing not only their branch infrastructure by charging 18 to 34-year-olds who may not necessarily understand, how to manage their finances, things of that nature, but also those who can afford those fees, they're actually giving them everything for free. So it affects the consumers, and it's an antiquated system.
And to put the $32 billion in perspective, that's more than what Americans pay for buying vegetables a year.
Oh my gosh.
So health becomes secondary, I guess, when it comes to banking fees.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. So, I mean, what are our options as consumers in the current layout of this industry? For me, I do bank with JP Morgan, but that's not necessarily because I feel educated about it. It's just it just seems like the clear option because I don't know better.
Well, the option is, the trend towards digital banking. I really think it's the real future of banking, which is what we talk about in our book. Why can't banks be as easy as Uber? And so it's really an opportunity for you to start feeling empowered and learning about your options, and banks that really want to partner with you because they believe in you and they want to invest in your future. And that's what our mission is at Bank Mobile, to make sure that we make banking affordable for you, effortless for you, and financially empowering. And we're able to do that because we don't have the legacy technology, and we don't have the legacy branch networks that create a lot of overhead costs that don't let us deliver in such an affordable way.
So I mean, it's clearly it's clearly fragmented and broken in the current layout. How did we get here?
I honestly, I think that when you look at technology, right? Technology is what is changing the landscape. So it's not that the big banks are doing anything different than what they did before, right? So this is a system that worked for hundreds of years, but as Luvleen mentioned, in 2008 we saw this whole system crumble. So now there's new rules, right? And maybe the big banks want to adapt to the new rules, right? But what happens when you look at the millions of dollars that they're spending on these beautiful branches, when you think about these long-term leases that they took out, it's difficult for them to get out of the business. So that's why fintech players, Bank Mobile, we're able to take advantage of this opportunity to provide free and low-cost financial services to consumers.
I agree with Ash. So it really comes down to technology. So before, banking was very much community banking. We started with the right spirit, that we really wanted to help Americans get their hopes and dreams alive by financing them, by being able to help them save and manage their money better. And the customer acquisition strategy for that was a branch network because there wasn't any technology in place.
Yeah.
But now today, Bank Mobile, through software and through technology, is now opening about 500,000 new bank accounts a year with 0 branches. And that's about, in our estimation, what Bank of America is opening a year with over 6,000 branches, and we have 0. So that's the power of technology.
So are they at a point where they should be shaking in their boots? It
No,
seems like
I don't think so.
There's this huge opportunity.
Yeah.
You're seeing players like Betterment, Wealthfront,
Yeah.
they're all popping up. And how much of the share are they actually taking over right now?
It's minuscule at this point, to be honest. And I don't think that there's a reason for them to be shaking in their boots. I think this is an opportunity for them to see the new wave and start positioning themselves in the best way possible. So unfortunately, on the overhead side, they're stuck in these 10, 20, 30-year leases on the branch network side. But they are taking action. If you look at JP Morgan, they have opened an innovation lab, and they're starting to innovate and seeing how they can use technology better to serve the customer. They're partnering with fintech, so they just announced their deal with OnDeck to help simplify the small business underwriting process. We have BBVA that just bought Simple about 2 years ago that really wanted to utilize technology. But the thing is, it's just going to take time for them because they don't have the infrastructure in place, but they have a huge opportunity to start partnering with fintech players to be able to still deliver a good banking experience if they can get past the bureaucracy and get it done.
So in your opinion, Chase is doing well, but other banks aren't?
I think that...
And using technology.
Yeah, so when looking at the apps at the top 4 banks, I do think that Chase is the best app out of the 4. But I think that we're exponentially better from a user experience standpoint. But that being said, they are trying to move in the right direction and taking steps.
Got it. So with all of this technology and the banks, and you use technology as such a blanket term here, what does the size of the opportunity look like and the size of the opportunity that they're missing?
It's a huge opportunity. So right now, the big banks are really focusing on even the online banks. They're saying no branches equals higher rates. So they're going after the baby boomers, the higher balance, more rate sensitive, affluent customers. And so they're really missing an opportunity for the unprofitable customers, which are the millennials today, but have they're getting the largest transfer of wealth in history. They're going to be a huge opportunity going forward. But investing in them today is not marginally beneficial to them because it's going to have no effect until the long term, and it's going to take so long for them to affect their P&L. But for us as a small company, creating customers today for customers for a lifetime, that's a beautiful model, and we're attracting 500,000 of them a year now, so we're in a great position.
Absolutely.
I would say as a consumer, I feel fairly uneducated about long-term financial planning. It's not something I was taught in high school. I took accounting in college but got a C-, so I'm not very good at that either. Where are the sources of information for all of this? Because to me, it's not necessarily reading a book. It's a service or influenced by tech.
No, absolutely, and that's a great question. And this is why we have financial empowerment coaches at Bank Mobile to be able to provide that information. So yes, there is technology out there. There's robo advisors that can give you advice, right? But there is going to still need to be a need for that human touch. And so everyone who opens an account with us at Bank Mobile gets a personal banker, right? So we don't have branches, but that doesn't mean you can't speak to someone. We're a fintech bank with we have a bank charter, right? But at the end of the day, you get to really speak to someone, and I think that's the difference, right? When you look at the traditional banking model, if you don't have a certain dollar amount, you really can't get the personalized service. And I know, I did 15 years hard time, right, at the big banks, and we catered at the big banks to those who had the bigger balances, not the college student, not the millennial, not the person who has a great job and will eventually become affluent. The big banks wait until they do become affluent till they start paying attention. And we're saying that's a big mistake. We need to start paying attention now. We need to start providing that financial education today, and it's a mixture between technology. So millennials want things on demand. So technology is going to give you that on-demand knowledge. You can find out all the information that you want, by going to the different apps and Google and all these different places where the information is readily available. But when you get confused and you have the need to speak to someone to explain some of these complex financial situations to you, then you always can pick up the phone and have access to a person.
We definitely believe in a high tech supported by high touch when it comes to financial education. And so what we mean by that is high touch, that we have the financial empowerment coaches, the personal bankers that are there for you 24/7, that it's democratized. I'm so sick of hearing that, but it's democratizing banking where you don't need to be high net worth. We are there to give you advice, not to upsell to you. And you can pick up the phone and call us anytime or email us. Second is through technology. So within the app, to be able to have budgeting tools that are really not boring where you have to input everything, but helping you through that process where it just integrates so seamlessly into your life that we are able to give you a wonderful picture of your financial life on a daily basis so you can make something of that and make the right decisions on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We also use technology to create a great way to digest information that is financially empowering. For example, Ash hosts a Money Mondays podcast every Monday, and under 10 minutes to provide advice for that week, a tangible takeaway that you can do to really transform your money management skills that really impacts your life. We also have blog content, etc. We also are developing a financial curriculum so you can become a certificate of our graduate financial curriculum program. And it's a 5-hour course to learn the how-tos of budgeting, of investing, etc. So you feel that financially savviness when you're done with it.
That's awesome.
Because we're not getting it in school, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, definitely not. So it seems like it's gigantic industry, both tech and finance, and we have these consumer-facing hardcore tech products. And just within your own organization too, there's the tech part, but then there's also the personalization, all these different layers that are influenced by tech or even powered by tech behind the scenes. So with the current landscape, what would you say are the different categories of fintech?
Yeah, so there's fintech. Everyone's been talking about this unbundling in financial services, okay? And so now we have the fintech players that are doing what banks used to do, but a whole lot better, okay? And those different verticals are, payments, it's personal loans, it's student refinancing, it's robo-advising, it's self-directed investing, etc. And so what we need to start doing is these digital banks, and I'd say us, because we're the fastest growing and largest one, is to really start bundling these services back together. And that doesn't mean that we need to do everything. Right. We really believe in partnerships with the best fintech companies out there because there's pros and cons to both our business. They're wonderful at technology and user experience, but they are having trouble getting customers in a cost-effective way. It's costing them so much money and it's not sustainable. And they don't have cheap access to money, so they have a liquidity sort of crisis as well, which are things that banks don't have to deal with. So we want to partner and to be able, under one roof, create sort of an Amazon of financial services with the best-in-breed fintechs connected with your checking account, your savings account, and create this holistic financial services experience where we meet all your financial needs under one umbrella.
Is that what you mean by banking should be as easy as Uber?
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely one huge aspect of it. We also feel that, you think of the kayaks of the world, the hotels.com, you can book a ticket around the world in 2 minutes. But to open a bank account, it's 20 minutes, it's 25 minutes. It's being able to mail back your signature card, even if you're trying to do it online. And we've really boiled that down into such a simplistic yet very secure way of opening an account just on your mobile device in less than 5 minutes, to open a checking account, a savings account, to open a joint account, which is a complicated process to do on a mobile device easily in under 5 minutes, to apply for a line of credit. Okay, we've simplified the banking process so it's really truly in the palm of your hand.
So do you feel like that, I mean, I know you have one-on-one personalization. It just feels too simple. It feels like I ought to talk to someone in person. Do you think that's actually, I'm alone in that, or maybe that's a trend that we need to get over as an industry?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do think that there are many people who believe that especially as something as serious as money, that I should be going in and I should be sitting down with somebody. But when you look at the numbers, there isn't a high percentage of people using branches. People are using technology. People are opening accounts online. People, don't frequent the branches as often. So I do think that is something that we need to realize. That not only is it going to save you time, but it's going to save you money as well. When you think about the access to financial services, it's easier with technology. So because technology allows you to scale at a faster rate, we can provide the same financial services. So I'm not asking, or we're not asking people to change the way they bank. We're saying bank the same way, but we're going to help you save time and save money. And I think that once people get a grasp of that and realize, you know what, this is the same thing, but I'm paying, but it's cheaper than I'll do it,
It's a more delightful experience.
Yeah, exactly, more delightful. And one of the great things too, especially with us at Bank Mobile, is that we have a totally free checking account, totally free savings account, no overdraft, fees whatsoever. So there isn't actually you can actually try us out, right? You don't necessarily have to close your account, right? Don't take our word for it. Like if we're saying that we have a better experience, if we're saying we're biased, right? We're from the company, but you can actually try it out. You can actually say, okay, you know what? There's absolutely no fees. Let me try it. Let me see. Let me compare the two, and see, if it's the same. And once you realize that you're, again, saving time and money, you'll be able to make the right decision.
Great. I mean, this is actually, so I'm recently engaged.
Oh, congratulations.
Congrats.
I was talking about, okay, let's open a joint savings account, all that stuff, and it quickly became this huge headache. Like, borderline, maybe we'll argue about this in the future.
Right.
So in that sense, to me, it doesn't feel as easy as Uber as is. But I know you talk about partnerships, all this kind of stuff. What are for someone in my situation, what are the other services I should be looking at? So let's say that I have Bank Mobile on my phone. How does this not get cluttered? How do I not have a whole catalog of 6 or 7? Am I thinking about it wrong too?
6 or 7
different financial services and different apps?
Yeah, so that's why we're really talking about this Amazon of financial services. So we're really working right now to build the partnerships to be able to make sure that you don't have to download the Wealthfront app and then Robinhood in addition to that, and then go to Earnest to refinance your student loans, etc. But you can do that under one umbrella. So it's really one app, one username, one password, one display of how your whole financial life is looking like under one umbrella. That takes a little bit of time. So right now, you have Bank Mobile to be able to do your checking account, your savings account, your joint account. Try ours. I think you can do it in under 5 minutes. Email me after, see if you can do it. And I think we're going to avoid premarital fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would care about most in the situation.
And as Ash said, there's no minimums, there's no fees, so you have nothing to lose and potentially a lot to gain.
Got it. So I usually think about technology becoming ubiquitous when the demographic that uses it has it from kindergarten through college. So it might look a little different for financial services, but how long do you think it'll take until this mentality becomes ubiquitous, where I walk down the street and it's not just millennials?
Well, as Ash said, the consumer behavior is speaking for itself. It's changing. People now are walking into bank branches on average 1 to 2 times a year versus interacting with their bank on a mobile device 20 to 30 times a month.
Yeah.
Okay, so the trend is taking place. And Americans are now interacting with their bank more through mobile channels than any other channel. And that shift took place in 2015 for the first time. And Accenture is even reporting, and by 2020, 20% of current bank revenues will be coming from digital experiences in banking. So this is also going to start becoming a profitable thing for the banks to be doing. So I think between consumer behavior shifting, plus banks moving in the disruptive sort of manner, it's going to naturally start this confluence where behavior plus the way that banks are distributing financial services is going to come together. But it's a process, and I think that it's happening rapidly.
Absolutely.
Do you think, so for example, Venmo, and I use Venmo as an example of something that's more community-based. Do you think Venmo is helping push that forward?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had college interns this summer, and Venmo's like king. I mean, there's nothing, forget PayPal. They're like, how old are you? You're using PayPal still? So definitely feel that having these technology players out there in financial services that are simplifying the experience and making it delightful is really creating a new culture where people are trusting the security of financial services being delivered through technology and digital means. And it's also creating a feeling of, hey, this makes sense for my life and I enjoy it and I'm comfortable with it. And so that's really perfect for our model because that's the demographic that we're exactly going after. And they're the leaders in this change of shift of mentality of what they're comfortable with and what they're excited about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think this demographic this demographic cares about a term that you've brought up a lot. I mean, you've talked about delightfulness, but also UX. So can you elaborate on that? What does UX actually do to the experience? Is it trust? Is it is it just that it's pretty and easier to use?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above, to be honest. It's kind of like when you meet a person for the first time and we make a judgment, right? It's bad and good. I don't want to say a bad judgment. We just make an impression, a first impression based on what we see.
Yeah.
And so there's number one in terms of the look and feel of your app. And by the way, we're launching our new app in October, which we're proud of what we have right now, but what we're coming out with in October is exponentially better, and we're excited for it, so look out for it from a user experience standpoint. But it's really about creating an effortless experience through the flow of the app, the actual decisions that you make for the consumer to go through to do a transaction. That simplifies it. It's making it look pretty. It's enhancing credibility and a feeling of security based on how put together you are. Just the way how put together you are as a human being when you first see something. I don't know if you want to add anything
absolutely.
to that.
And one of the things too when you think about the user experience is that it's financially empowering, right? Because gone are the days where you're just sort of using the service and not enhancing yourself as a person with it, right? So there's an experience that once you are using the app, once you are using the service, you are gaining the knowledge, you are gaining information that's helping you become better, helping you make better decisions, and not necessarily telling you what to do, but kind of using intelligence, using your habits, using how you spend money, using all of these this data that technology allows us to use, and customizing the experience based on who you are, and not saying, one size fits all, because, you fit a certain demographic, or you fit a certain, a model, that this is the financial, education, or this is the financial information that you need. It's really just customizing it based on your habits, based on your preferences, based on what you want, and that enhances that user experience, because it is tailored for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think are the biggest roadblocks to people actually learning all of this and getting onboarded?
So I think that, what we have found is that 33% of millennials want to switch banks in the next 90 days. So there's a huge desire, there's a huge frustration and pain point that exists in their current experience. But there's a lot of inertia to actually get people to switch. And so we've learned this, and we respect it as well, because people want to know if you're credible, if you're secure. So we've developed a membership program. So people can go on our site and sign up for Bank Mobile membership. And it's an opportunity to kind of date us, right? It's an opportunity for you to get to know what we have to offer, our style, our voice, how authentic we are, how transparent we are, what we have to offer to you, how we can benefit your life financially and educate you. And so we do that all through email and through podcasts that we send you, and through this experience, we're able to get you excited and ready to make the switch. But it's also about creating a frictionless onboarding process. And that's why it was so important for us that on a mobile device, in less than 5 minutes, we can get you to open this account. And so we spend a lot of time on a UX standpoint, and also from development of security and authentication, to simplify it in such a way to be able to do that.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of these, the processes and the information is there. But, do you think that, so here's the question. So the processes are there, and it's that idiom where you can bring the horse to the water, but you can't make the horse drink. I'm hoping I'm doing that right. So,
Yeah.
Are you waiting for people, not horses, to actually use all this repository of information, these services, because it's there?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I think that's going to Ash's point about data analytics, because we shouldn't expect the horse to drink, right? You're not there. We need to enable you, empower you to take the right decisions financially in your life, to etc. And so we have so much rich transaction history about where you've been purchasing, what your behavior is like, what stage you are in your life, that we should be anticipating your needs and proactively serving you. So, one thing that we're working on, for example, is being able to assess your cash flow on a monthly basis, and seeing if there's a drop or some anomaly in that cash flow for a 1 or 2 month period, and being able to proactively extend to you maybe a short-term 90-day line of credit. Okay? So this doesn't require that customer to be like, oh shoot, I really can't afford that wedding this month that I'm supposed to go to. Right. It's like, okay, my bank realized that's awesome, and they're gonna help me out. And that's how we start empowering people. We don't expect them to drink. We want to help give them a cup so that they can serve them, serve them.
Absolutely. Full of cups, just one at a time.
Yes.
Right. And then to Luvleen's point, it's really about us, sort of understanding, right? So if you go to the doctor doesn't expect the patient to come with their ailment and say, hey, doctor, this is what's wrong with me, right? The doctor is the one that asks the questions, and they analyze based on the answers that the patient has given the doctor. They come up with a solution and say, based on what your ailments are, this is what I think is wrong with you. This is what you should do. The doctor still doesn't force you to take the medicine. He or she prescribes you the medicine, right? So we look at ourselves as financial doctors. So we're going to analyze. We're going to take a look at your transactions. We're going to see, the different things that you're doing, and based on that, we're going to give you proactively. We're going to proactively give you suggestions. Here, you should be doing this, or you should do this, and it's up to you as the consumer to say, you know what, that makes sense to me, so I'm going to do it. Or, you know what, it doesn't make sense to me, I don't want to do it, and I'm not going to do it, right? But it's really just taking that approach, not being McDonald's, let's say, where you walk in and you see all of these, the different things on the menu, and you're the one choosing. We're using technology, we're using data to be able to give you a recommendation based on you and allow you, and this is how we're empowering. We empower you to make the decision based on what we provide.
Great. I mean, we have the horse, we have the water.
McDonald's, the doctor, the whole thing.
You got it covered.
Okay, so someone in my demographic where like I feel tech savvy, I'm not really fully educated on how I should spend my money, but I'm finally at the point where I do have disposable income.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Still in a lot of debt. But like, what are the 5 things that I should be doing? Like, let's say start today after this conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think first and foremost, you need a plan, right? So you need to be able to budget yourself. You need a plan, for your money and telling your money where it needs to go. So it's not necessarily, restricting yourself and saying, okay, so now I have this disposable income. This is where it's going to go. Then you have to automate your finances. I think one of the things when you think about, especially millennials, we are busy. We have a lot going on. So sometimes it may not be that we don't want to manage our finances correctly. We just may not have a lot of time to do it. So now we have to automate our finances. We have to figure out a way that we're saving automatically. We're paying our bills automatically. So it's automating those services. And, for us at Bank Mobile, we always suggest people to open up 2 bank accounts, 2 checking accounts, 1 bill account, 1 spending account, right? All of your money that goes towards your bills go into the bill account. So that way you don't have to think about it. You automate that. And whatever you have in the spending account is what you're going to spend, right? Then after you do that, you have to automate your savings. You have to figure out, right? You should have at least 6 to 8 months of an emergency fund in an account. So you automate that as well. You have automatic transfers, whether it's through direct deposit, whether it's through your checking account going to your savings account automatically. Then you got to start thinking about the future, right? So now you have to start thinking about how much are you going to be allocating, towards the future, towards investing, towards your 401k, your Roth IRA, all of the future things. And if you have kids, are you putting money away in a 529 plan? And then lastly, you have to get control, of that debt, right? So there are, especially millennials have a lot of debt. So it's now figuring out, how much money are you going to allocate towards that debt and how you're going to manage your debt correctly. And while you're managing debt, how do you manage your credit too, right? Because, people think that credit is just about borrowing, but it's more than borrowing. When you think about insurance, some insurance companies, car insurance, home insurance, renter's insurance, they use your credit score to determine what your premium is going to be. So there's other ways that credit affects you other than borrowing. So you have to kind of look at that as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that perfectly illustrates that this is not a simple situation, and that it's not really a McDonald's menu. It's like it's a huge, very complicated, right. Build your own whatever.
Right.
And I don't know about anyone in the audience, but I just got a lot of stress, like a wave of stress. But this is great.
Right.
Way to go, Ash.
but the great thing,
supposed to be the financial empowerment.
Right. But the great thing about it though, and this is why it's important, right? Because with technology, there is we don't want to give the illustration that technology is the only answer, right? Because with technology there are so many moving parts, there's so many different options, so you do still need that high touch. You still need to reach out to a personal banker. You still need to reach out to a financial empowerment coach. And the great thing about it, you don't have to wait till you have $50,000 in the bank, right? Because the traditional model says, I have all this craziness going on, mess it up, right? But once you make 50,000 or more, then come to me and I help you fix it, right? Opposed to saying, you know what, here you are at day one. Let me provide you somebody that can give you the steps that you need at day one, so you don't have to backtrack. And so that's why it's important that there's an integration of the two, integration of technology and personal advice, and mixing those together to relieve you of that stress.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you are tuning in, obviously you're hearing this, but feel free to ask questions. We're going to start fielding questions and asking directly to our awesome panelists. You can do it directly in the live stream or go to Twitter and use #GALive. So in the live stream comment box or Twitter, #GALive. So this first question we have is, how are you trying to reach those rejected by traditional banks?
Yeah, so I think that's an important question. It's really unfortunate the way that the system works today, where there are these lists that all the banks have, and if you ever mismanaged your money in some way, mistakenly, it doesn't matter, where you overdraft, you owe bank money, and you never paid it, you're kind of blacklisted for at least the next 5 years. And so what we like to do is we understand people make mistakes, and we believe in them, and we want to invest in being able to change the direction of their life and help be their partner in doing that. So we recognize during the onboarding process, we have tools to be able to see, why is this person on this list? Do we think that they made a mistake and they overdraft? And we believe that we want to forgive them, and especially that we don't have overdrafts, we want to let them enter our system and help encourage them to reach the next level. So we make exceptions that maybe other banks would be, they're blacklisted and we can't open the doors for them. We believe in them and we invest and give them a second chance.
And to that point, and that's a great question, right? Because when you think about, there are 68 million unbanked, underbanked individuals in America, right? So that is a population that it is a profitable population, but it's profitable in the wrong way, right? You have payday lenders, you have check cashers, you have these predatory lenders who are targeting these 68 million people, and this is why technology is important, right? Because technology allows us to be able to give them a second chance. It allows us to be able to provide them with financial services at a low cost, and give them the opportunity to even build credit. We have things built into our bank mobile app where we'll be able to provide credit for those who no one wants to give credit to. So there's an opportunity here to not only help this population, but also give them access. Like I mentioned, I've been in banking for 15 years, and there are bank deserts out there. There are places where people don't have access to a bank. They have to travel very far to get to a bank, but everybody has a mobile phone. No matter what your economic situation is, everybody has access, and with that access, we're helping those rejected by traditional banks.
Awesome. So we have another question about community banks. So community banks, how can they embrace and survive in this new approach, and what role do you see them having going forward?
So I love community banks. I love that model where it's really about serving the community that you're in. A lot of people that live near community banks love that when they walk in, they're treated like human beings, which is a wonderful feeling. I think that it is a question to be asked, is what is the future of community banks? I think there's been a lot of consolidation in the banking industry. It's tough for these smaller players to survive. I think the ones that are going to survive are the innovators like us. And the ones that are utilizing technology and are going beyond the geographic constraints of where that community bank is and really opening it up to a nation while keeping the spirit of the community bank alive while you're utilizing technology. Also, why I say that the smaller community banks are in a good position like us is because there's actually a regulation called the Durbin Amendment, and banks that are under 10 billion in assets actually make 4 to 5 times more in interchange revenue, which is how primarily we make money, which is every time you swipe your debit card, a merchant pays a fee to the bank. And so these larger banks have to get 4 to 5 times more volume than some of these smaller community banks for each customer. So it's a huge opportunity that we can kind of take advantage of a regulatory sort of arbitrage here where these community banks can survive.
Absolutely. And that's why partnerships are important as well, because in order for community banks to survive, they are going to, a lot of them may not have the capital that is necessary to create their own technology. So being able to partner with other fintech companies or of those who have technology is going to be important as well.
Awesome. So I guess going back to the previous question, this whole list that banks have on us, we do have a history, and it sounds like they don't want the risk of someone who may have messed up really early on, but are like financially responsible now. So we have this question that says, what is your take on holding onto your oldest accounts to maintain credit history? If you close older accounts, will it impact credit score? What does that do to our whole history?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that your checking account or savings account or your relationship with your bank has a effect on your credit. It doesn't. It's really based on money that you borrow. So you could be with Chase 30 years, and then when you need a mortgage, you're going to be judged based on your credit worthiness, right? And so you can walk in, and it's actually illegal for them to provide you credit based on your banking relationship. It has to be based. There's the Fair Credit Act that is based on your credit history. So I think that closing out old bank accounts is not going to have a bearing on your credit. Closing old credit cards or any lines of credit that you have that is fueling your credit, doing that definitely is going to hurt your credit. So it's important to separate the two and understand that your banking relationship is your banking relationship, and then your credit relationship is your credit relationship. And to a point that we made earlier, and that's why it's important where we, with us at Bank Mobile, we're able to provide you not only a banking relationship, but we have ways to provide you a credit relationship for those who may not, have access to credit.
Yeah, that's very clear. So we have a question, or clarification question. So someone says, you said that unbundling was a wave of the future and you support it, but also that all financial services could live under one umbrella. So what does that mean? What is the relationship between those two?
Yeah, no, I said that unbundling is taking place. So it has become the wave of where things are going, but I don't necessarily think that is the most convenient way.
Got it.
It was bred, this trend happened because banks weren't fulfilling their responsibility of being able to create all these verticals of financial services and serve them to customers in an effortless, easy way. And so that's why fintech had an opportunity to really flourish, utilize technology to create the right experience, to be able to underwrite in very nuanced ways that's not just based on your FICO score, but something broader than that. And now there's an opportunity for banks to start acting like fintech companies, like what we call ourselves a fintech company that happens to have a bank charter. So we have the best of both worlds. We also have the negatives of both worlds. Let's be honest, there's regulatory scrutiny on banks that some fintechs don't have to deal with. But now is an opportunity for us to really combine the best of both and start rebundling and reverse the trend of unbundling.
Got it.
And still let the fintech survive because we can rebundle through partnerships and not necessarily making sure that we start being the wealth advisors. We start extending all kinds of loans, but it's through partnerships.
So you'd say like the unbundling was kind of the catalyst that opened up all these opportunities?
Yeah, the unbundling sort of opened up the fintech explosion that's happening because banks weren't fulfilling the needs of consumers and they were frustrated. And now there's an opportunity for banks and fintechs to work together and to create more of a seamless experience under one umbrella through partnerships with these fintechs.
That sounds awesome. All right, so then we have this other question. How is your checking account more oh my gosh.
It happens.
Technologically advanced than other accounts? Checking account, more tech than other accounts.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, first it goes all the way from just the onboarding, so kind of just walking through. So how quick does it take you to open an account? We really wanted to, under 5 minutes, to be able to open a checking account. Being able to snap a picture of your ID and being able to autofill majority of the information that's needed in the onboarding process. So that's one way, so creating the friction out of actually opening the account. Then it's about when you're engaging with that account, how easy is it? So being able to pay your bill just by snapping a picture of your bill itself that you get in the mail, it autofills everything and your bill is paid. And being able to leverage that sort of technology. And then it's about this next wave that we're talking about that is not just about selling a product like a checking account, but selling an experience. So we can traditionally offer car loans to customers, but we are partnering and working in developing this partnership right now where it's a car buying experience. So you have an opportunity within the Bank Mobile app to be able to search for cars that you want through videos, through pictures, pick the one that you want, buy insurance for that car, get a pre-approved auto loan from us in that process, and then have that car delivered to your home and test drive it. And if you don't like it, they'll take it back. That's a memorable experience. That creates an emotional tie. That empowers people to really want to bank with you for life. And that's what we want to be in the business of, selling experiences and not just banking products.
Got it. And we have a little bit of time left, so if you have questions, please ask them now. The next one is, some financial institutions have limits on the number of mobile transfers allowed per month. Do you have a limit, and how does that affect you?
We have no limits on the number of transfers that can take place per month. We do have limits in the amount of money that can be deposited per day, and that's really because we need to find a fine balance between seamlessness and effortlessness and providing you access to your money while also creating a very safe, secure, non-fraudulent experience for ourselves and for our customers. And so right now we have limits in place, but going back to utilizing data analytics and technology, we're able to look at our customer. How long have they been with us? Do they have direct deposit with us? What sort of behavior? Are they active, engaged customers? Are they logging into the app very often? And looking at behaviors that make us very comfortable with a customer to be able to, over time, change those daily limits to much higher balances that are very suitable to their needs. And so it doesn't become a point of friction anymore.
Yeah. So this next question is a little bit harder, so I'm going to open it up too. So they're asking how are you targeting and marketing to millennials, but I'm curious about how the overall industry is, because I mean, I've even seen MasterCard, they're partnering with Gwen Stefani. It's so clear that they're targeting millennials, but as you said before, like, there's information available, but millennials may not actually be educated enough to respond to that kind of marketing.
Yeah. Well, we can both take this. The way that we're marketing to millennials is, number one, to be authentic. So it's one thing to have a celebrity endorsement, and that's great. And you can definitely maybe like her, not like her. It could be interesting, like, oh, they're trying to tap into millennials. But you want a voice that you trust more than anything. And so we're really focusing on building a relationship with our customers where they believe that we have an authentic voice, that they believe that we strive each day to financially empower them through the experience that we're giving. Like, that's our mission, and that's what drives us. And so we want to get that authentic voice across, because I think that's much more sustainable in marketing to our customers. We do it through our Bank Mobilist College Ambassador Program. So we have 60 ambassadors through this last year, serving on college campuses across the country, spreading the word about Bank Mobile in a very authentic way about what our mission is, and not just selling to open bank accounts, but really about driving financial empowerment, giving them the tools to be able to host financial literacy classes and workshops, and having Ash go and speak at those schools, developing this online curriculum that we talked to you about where they can become certified as a financial coach of Bank Mobile through a 5-hour module on all different topics. So it's really an opportunity to educate them through technology, through our Campus Ambassador program, through our blog and our content, through our podcasts, and really speaking with an authentic voice. We want people to see who's running this company and all of our voices, because we're passionate about what we're doing. We want to help people.
Yeah. And to her point, we're a lifestyle brand, right? And we just happen to also be a bank, and that's how we're presenting ourselves. So it's really, if you walk one day into our offices, you would not think we're bankers, right? Because at the end of the day, we understand millennials. We are millennials, and so we are a lifestyle brand. So whether it's podcasts, whether it's financial education, it's really empowering people. It's providing that voice to millennials, and doing it in such an authentic way, not buying celebrities to do it, but doing it in an authentic way where you connect with us, where you can sit with us, where you can talk with us, where you have people nationwide who have experienced us and are able to say, yes, give this a shot, because this is for you. This is built specifically for you. It's run specifically by you, and it is your bank.
Great. And I think this is a perfect question for you. How can people get in touch with you, and where can they find the app?
Sure.
We're not going to put like your number. Call this number on the screen.
My email address and my phone number. Yeah, so you can visit us at bankmobile.com to learn more, and you can sign up for our membership as well if you're not ready to open that bank account just yet and can get to know us, and we can date. concord each other and get to know each other. And in Google Play Store, App Store, it's under Bank Mobile, and there's no space between Bank and Mobile to find our app.
And also on iTunes, make sure you look for under Bank Mobile. You're able to see both of our podcasts. We have one called Money Mondays with Ash Cash, and then we also have one called Free Life Fridays, where we give inspiration. We interview movers and shakers, and we give our listeners inspiration as they go on their journey. So definitely go to iTunes and search for Bank Mobile, one word, and find both of those podcasts.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this has been great. That's the amount of time that we've allotted.
Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in. This is a General Assembly live stream, and we've had fantastic guests from Bank Mobile.
Yeah. Thank you so
thank you
much
so
for
much.
having
We
us.
appreciate
It's
you.
been awesome.
If you have any other questions, you know where to find their apps, and you can also find them on social. Continue asking questions on GA Live.
Great. Thank you.